The big story tonight, and our panelists are there on our screen, is about both the US and UK asking Pakistan to hand over Zakiur Rehman Lakhvi, the mastermind of the 2008 Mumbai attacks, to India for an independent trial. The Pakistan government, and then our panelists, of course, Maruf Raza and Mahesh Jetmalani from the Indian side, Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao, Syed Tariq Pirzada from Karachi and Islamabad, and Ray Locker of USA Today is joining us from Washington. Well, you know, what you consider to be pro-Pakistan positions but factually incorrect positions. This happens in the Islamabad High Court. Your government says that the US and UK want Lakvi to be handed over to India. Your own government. Your government, not ours. Your government admits that these two countries are demanding that Lakvi be handed over to India or face an independent trial. I'm sure you understand the seriousness of what has happened here now. You can't blame anyone. You can't blame Times Now. You can't blame the Indian intelligence. You can't blame the Indian government. This is your government has exposed you in your court. I'm sure you both agree with me. I can see you do.
Should I respond?
I thought you both agreed, because that silence made me feel that you've agreed. Perhaps you have.
I agree that this is one of those 10,000 things which India and Pakistan should resolve themselves.
No. The prosecutor in the 2611 trial.
Nothing to Pakistan.
The prosecution is the 2611 trial is the Federal Investigation Agency.
They are sitting in England. They're sitting in US, they're sitting in India, they're sitting in Kabul. So a desire does not become an order.
Who is the prosecutor in the 2611 trial? One second, look, let's be very logical here. Who is the prosecutor in the 2611 trial?
Let my government also admit, but it doesn't mean
who is the prosecutor in the 2611 trial?
It's government of Pakistan.
So the government of Pakistan, good. No, if to be specific, I would say it is the Federal Investigation Agency, which is very much a part of the government of Pakistan. You know, I want you to
absolutely,
be... Yeah,
absolutely.
so the Federal Investigation Agency. So Syed Tariq Pirzada's 5 years of debating on Indian television, saying the Indian government spreads nothing but lies, have come to naught. Because tonight Syed Tariq Pirzada will have to say on Indian television that he was wrong all this while. Because today his own government, his own investigation agency has admitted that his own government is sheltering a terrorist. Now, Mr. Pirzada.
No, it is not a question of sheltering
this is your admission,
you
not
have
mine.
put allegations.
This is not an allegation, this is a statement by your government.
No.
All right, let me take a start.
Okay, let Mr. Tariq Pirzada answer this question.
Sure, no, this is I only reiteration of the fact. I don't intend to embarrass you in Karachi and Islamabad. This is a fact. Your government has embarrassed you. Sometimes you speak the truth.
I really appreciate your notions that you, by asking an, unnecessarily aggressive question.
This is not aggressive. I have
me.
not even asked a question so far. I'm mostly asking for clarifications. You find this aggressive? Mr. Pirzada has nothing to say?
No, I have everything to say. You're talking to Abid Rao. All right, let me take a start quickly. Arnab,
I had given
there is one thing that the Union of India is forgetting at the present time, that there is a civil judicial system effectively functioning in Pakistan.
You don't understand.
And they are trying a person whom the government believes that he should be behind the bars.
Your government is saying we shelter a terrorist.
But
you realize how serious this is?
This is the position of the government of Pakistan.
You sheltered a terrorist. Ray Locker.
High Court.
Ray Locker, can we drive some sense into
hold on.
One second.
Hold on.
Your government.
But the High Court in Islamabad.
Even Ray Locker is laughing.
But the High Court in Islamabad believes
even Ray Locker
is laughing. There is no case against Mr. Lakvi. Therefore, he should be released on bail and the matter should be tried in the court of law in a routine manner.
Mr. Pirzada,
there is no allegation
Mr. Pirzada,
with a level of seriousness with which you are pleading the case on the airwaves of India.
Mr.
So you guys need to understand
Mr. Pirzada.
that your
Okay,
case,
so-
you have lost the case.
Mr.
You have
Pirzada.
lost the case after many years.
Mr. Pirzada, that's why you see what happens when what happens, Mr. Pirzada, when you lie. Whether you lie knowingly or unknowingly.
But Arnab, you are lying.
Whether you lie knowingly or unknowingly, voluntarily or involuntarily, consciously or unconsciously, deliberately or by mistake.
Arnab,
The fact is that when you
Arnab,
lie.
grow up.
No, Mr. Pirzada, this is a warning. The very fact that you've been asked, your government has revealed that you have been asked to hand over a man who you have sheltered,
let me
a
tell
terrorist.
you, your problem is, let me give you a little lecture on history.
Ray Locker, can you just interpret this?
Arnab, let me answer in 30 seconds.
Mr. Ray Locker
Why
is
don't you exchange it with your
Mr. Ray Locker, Mr. Locker, please. Mr. Pirzada, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Mr. Duval.
Gentlemen.
It's not okay.
It's okay.
Representing the fact. Look,
It's okay.
You guys rushed to the slaughter of Kassab through your judicial system.
Mr. Pirzada, I want...
You did not wait for the evidence.
Mr. Pirzada, the warning implies... Mr. Pirzada, the warning implies that the onus is on Pakistan to revive talks with India and not the other way around as the handing over of Lakvi.
But the High Court in Islamabad has simply told the truth. It has said that these years and years of investigation have not shown anything.
Mr. Pirzada.
Therefore, the man should be released on bail. And thus the government of Pakistan...
No, Mr. Pirzada, and 1 second. No, Mr. Pirzada. That's not what you've been said. That's a lie. Yeah, and I'm going to go to an Indian participant, but before that I want to get Mr. Ray Locker in. The fact is that you have been asked to hand over Lakvi
for whom?
to India.
For Washington.
Ray Locker, please.
London.
Ray Locker.
Your problem is...
Ray Locker from Washington, let Mr. Locker speak.
Yes, Arnab.
Yes, Mr. Locker.
This is your problem.
Okay. The reason behind this request is a general lack of confidence in the Pakistani judicial system to take care of Lakvi. Having him go out on bail would be seen as disastrous because there's no confidence that once he's out on bail that he would stay anywhere under the microscope of the Pakistani police or judicial system. So there's a fear that he might, go public, disappear and continue to run terror operations for Lashkar-e-Taiba. That's the reason why they don't want him on
He's
bail.
not going to disappear.
They would rather see him.
What are you talking about, gentlemen? What are you talking about? These people, the leader of Jamaat
public figures disappear all the time.
And Mr. Lakvi, these are known public figures in their own circles. You just cannot paint them as a terrorist who would disappear.
Public figure.
Once they are released.
Public figure. Osama bin Laden was also a public figure for you.
In their own circles.
I'm sure Mullah Omar is a public figure. Right?
Of course, Mullah Omar is a leader of the Afghans. What are you talking about? He was the...
I'll get Maruf Raza to respond to you. I'll get Maruf and Mr. Jetwalani. You see what this warning means. 1 second, Maruf. What this warning means, Maruf, is that Pakistan government has been asked to hand over Lakvi. It means it's a reinforcement of the fact that they have sheltered a terrorist. And that's why Mr. Abid Rao and Mr. Pirzada are tonight on a very thin ice on this argument. Maruf, please. Maruf and then Mahesh Jetwalani.
That's called yellow journalism at best.
Sir, this is a revelation of your federal investigation agency.
Mr. Pirzada, I've heard you. Mr. Pirzada, now let me speak, please. My submission is the following. I know it is a difficult job that Mr. Pirzada and Air Marshal Rao are trying to enact in defending the indefensible, which has often been the case, but quite clearly, if they say the judicial system in Pakistan works, give me the name of one prominent person who has been accused of acts of terror, including the killer of Salman Taseer, that the courts in Pakistan have finally convicted. From my understanding and that of what I have read from Pakistani authors and writers in Indian papers, they have all the judges have... Sir, please hear me out. Sir, please hear me out. Please hear me out. Please hear me out. All the judges have either failed to give a judgment or run away or left the country because they fear for their lives. What is more important, Ornab, and I feel this is an interesting twist to our efforts to nail the killers of the 26/11 attacks. This is an interesting twist because, Mr. Pirzada, if you don't hear me, Mr. Pirzada, if you don't hear me, you won't be able to give a suitable response. And like a parrot, you'll go on and on talking about how the Pakistani system is above board. But please understand that the international community is turning against you, and these are nooses that are being tightened around your neck. What for me is going to be a day of joy is when the Pakistani military establishment, who has used Lakvi as a proxy, and the proof of that is the fact that General Pasha, the then DG ISI, was the first person to meet Lakvi in Adiala jail on 7 December 2008. And when the Pakistani military establishment begins to feel the pain of holding on to stooges like Lakvi, because the military establishment right now believes it is still indispensable to America's game plan in South Asia. But believe me, sir, this year
5 days left for that, Maru. 5 days left for that.
And I think that this is the first sign. This is the first sign of the change that is beginning to come. The international community is now fed up with Pakistan's constant denials. And I think more and more countries are going to put pressure on Pakistan. That either you own up to Lakvi's deeds or face global punishment.
No, will you? No, 1 second. Mr. Abid Rao. Mr. Abid Rao. Mr. Abid Rao, Mahesh Jetmalani wants to come in.
Mr. Pirzada, don't pass frivolous remarks about me, because I know what I'm doing, and I grant you the benefit of doubt. You know what you're doing. Only you're walking into a dark alley.
Number two. I say to every intellectual in India and every journalist, including you guys, that if Mr. Lakvi were that brilliant a guy that he was able to plan a great, attack like Mumbai, I tell you one thing, I would like to send him to conquer India today.
Mind your language now, Mr. Pirzada. Mind your language. You see, this is the problem with you. This is the problem with you. You lose all sense of rationality. You make a nonsensical argument. No, 1 second. You make a nonsensical argument. You make offensive comments, Mr. Pirzada. You make offensive comments, and at some point you reveal yourself. You reveal yourself.
Lakvi was the ISI's proxy. Lakvi was the ISI's proxy, and that's why he's being protected.
Mr. Pirzada, if Lakvi was the ISI's proxy, are you the ISI's proxy?
He is not the
Are you the ISI's proxy?
For that job.
Are you an ISI stooge? Mr. Pirzada.
He is.
Are you an ISI stooge, Mr. Pirzada?
Mr. Pirzada,
are you on the ISI's rolls, Mr. Pirzada?
In Islamabad.
Are you an ISI stooge?
You have been doctored in Islamabad to parrot your lines.
Mr. Maroof Raza is an agent of RAW and nothing else. You guys
lost the argument now. You lost the plot.
Quarter.
Oh, thank you.
I feel sorry for you.
Thank you.
I feel sorry for you, Mr. Pirzada. I feel sorry for you, Mr. Pirzada.
Has lost the argument, and therefore he's becoming personal.
Mr. Pirzada lost the argument.
And therefore
Mr. Pirzada lost the argument.
Give us facts.
This is what happened. No, 1 second. Mahesh Jetmalani coming into the debate. And Mr. Pirzada, I just request you, 1 second, as you listen to rational arguments, consider the foolishness, shallowness, and lack of substance in what you're saying. And I request you, however you are, Mr. Pirzada, 1 second, Mr. Pirzada, however you are, and even if you are on the rolls of the ISI,
and this is the...
Even if you are on the rolls of the ISI, even if you are control yourself.
You are on the payroll of...
That's all right. Mahesh, I'm not taking you seriously anymore. I'm not taking you seriously now.
And I don't care about
Abid Rao, look at this, Abid Rao. Look at this, Abid Rao.
Pirzada has run out of arguments.
He's run out of arguments.
I think he's had his say. Let's have something more saner.
So my question to Mr. Pirzada,
There is a High Court in Pakistan saying that we have investigated, thoroughly investigated. There is no charge
You don't
against
even
this
know
man.
what's happening in your
We can't
court.
hold him in detention, and therefore he's being released. Then you guys can't understand,
Mr.
can't
Pirzada.
fathom the fact that there is a judicial system in Pakistan that throws out the prime ministers, that throws out the daughter of the
Mr.
prime
Pirzada,
minister.
one question.
And
Mr. Pirzada, one question.
Swallow that.
Is there a charge? Is there a charge that the courts have investigated against the killer of Salman Taseer? Is there enough evidence to nail him? Or your courts will say that even he isn't the killer because your lawyers throw rose petals on the feet of killer.
And 1 second, no, 1 second. Before Mr. Pirzada goes on, I now go to Mahesh Jethmalani. Mr. Jethmalani.
The man who killed Salman Taseer has gone to gallows.
Mr. Pirzada, please stop.
He's a
Semicolon,
man.
comma, full stop. Yes, thank you. Now the question is to Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani. Mr. Jethmalani, Mr. Pirzada may not know, Abid Rao may not know, but there is a red corner notice that has been issued to both Lakvi and to Hafiz Saeed by the Interpol way back as 2009. Pakistan sat on it. It did nothing to extradite them. There was a notice given by an international investigation agency. And now the investigation agency is telling the court, we have been told to hand over Lakvi to India. Is there any defense left after this? At least logically, is there any defense left? Mahesh Jethmalani.
But Arnab, there was never a defense as far as Lakvi is concerned. The case against him is overwhelming, notwithstanding apologists like Mr. Pirzada, who really do not even trust their own judiciary. Because after all, Mr. Lakvi and 6 others have been indicted. Indicted means there have been charges framed by the trial court against them for their participation in 2611. Now, when charges are framed and people are indicted, it means there's a strong prima facie case. And just to give you a little snippet of the evidence, Arnab, so that viewers know, this man Lakvi was a person who trained, motivated, indoctrinated, and handled them from the control room in Karachi, while those 3 nights 166 people were killed by those 10 bloodthirsty terrorists who came across the shores. He was the person who told them, keep on killing as many people as you can. And Mr. Kasab, the late Kasab, who went to the gallows rightly and not wrongly, as Mr. Pirzada suggests, has corroborated the fact that his handler was Chacha Zaki, i.e. Zakiur Rehman Lakhvi. So there is overwhelming. This is only a snippet. There is much more. What his voice is there on the satellite phones. His voice is there on the satellite phones. Lakvi is telling them what they should do, and then it has been corroborated by Kasab saying that this is indeed his voice. So I do not know what Mr. Pirzada is talking about. He doesn't trust his own judiciary, which is why the inference that he's a spokesperson of the ISI is a very reasonable inference to make. And by the way, as Mr. Ray Locker has said, the reason why the Americans have come in is because the ISI, whom Mr. Pirzada represents, has deliberately dragged its feet on this trial. It is not letting the trial progress, because if Lakvi goes in, the ISI itself will be exposed. Hence, the Americans, as Mr. Locker has pointed out, and UK have both now insisted, since the ISI is not going to let this trial go forward, this matter should now either be tried by the Indians or Lakvi should be handed over to the US and UK for trial by them.
Absolutely.
Well, let me have all the people involved in Samjhauta Express handed over to Pakistan first before you even get to the point of Lakvi being handed over to India. How about that?
Mr. Pirzada, if you believe that, your if you believe that yourself,
you guys have a prime minister who's a murderer of 2,000 Muslims of Gujarat. And you have the face of talking to Tariq Pirzada about Lakvi being a criminal in this case. You guys can't even
argument to tell the Ahmadiyas, the Hindus, the Sikhs, and all the.
Is Tariq Pirzada reading an ISI script on the Newshour tonight?
Let's talk about.
I'm going to take that on. No, 1 second. Did Syed Tariq Pirzada get a script written for him from the ISI headquarters in Rawalpindi? We'll talk about that. Handover Lakvi is the issue. Abid Rao wanted to come in. 2-minute break. Abid Rao, you'll have your say on the other side.